you're watching live right now and you can only see half of me, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. You're seeing the star of the show, which is here. So, morning, happy Monday. I'm Nathan, and this is Getting on Track. And today, I'm so happy to tell you, obviously, as you can see, that our special guest here is Charlie Reader. How are you today, man?
Good, man. Yeah.
Tired?
I'm tired, but good tired.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
a bit of an emotional day yesterday.
Yeah.
But no, feeling good.
Fantastic, man. And obviously, I want to hear all about yesterday and why it was so emotional and special and all that as well. So, in case you are new to this is our Monday morning show. So we go out live on Monday morning, and this is the live version. So you've got cut off little. It's not great, quality and everything. The better quality recorded version will be available later on the Getting on Track page. I'll put the link on the It's Good to Talk page. We put it out through our YouTube channel. So yeah, this morning I got in touch with you the other day, didn't I? And it just so happened that you were free, which is brilliant. Getting on Track is about having conversations that bringing our stories to the world, and you've got a great story. You're, as I say all the time, you're not only a very talented fella, but you're a top fella as well, man. That's not just me who says that, is it? So yeah, I think that it's one that I'm really, really happy and appreciative for you to be here, mate.
Well, thanks for having me, mate.
Mental Health Week this week is a good place to start, I think. And I don't want to get into sort of straight away about personal mental health and everything. But Mental Health Week is from today until Friday. And this year, the theme that we've chosen is movement. So even if you're sitting watching this, move around. You could dance around maybe, or move your hands, your feet, whatever it is. And yeah, it's good for you. So let's get straight into it then, Charlie. What I want to know is your track. So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
We're looking at the track of where you came from, what brought you here, things that happened along the way that made you into what you are now, and then also where you're going, which is really exciting, isn't it? So where were you born and bred? I suppose is the good place to start.
Well, that is it's a long story, yeah. But I was born in Saudi Arabia. So my dad had a job with the MOD out there, so I started there.
Right.
But I left when I was 2, so I don't remember.
Yeah.
So my main bulk of my childhood was in Germany. I lived there for 8 years. But it was a good. As far as childhoods go, it was it was great, and I'd a good school, family. It was different, obviously, because it was a different country, but it was English speaking, so it was not, it wasn't too alienating. So
what part of Saudi was that like?
Well, Saudi was in Riyadh.
So
that was, but that was only for 2 years. So I was left when I was 2 years old. So, so everyone says now I'm still Arabian. I've still got a bit of Arabian in me. And then but now obviously Germany was a big part of my life.
And what area was Germany? Is that?
Mönchengladbach, near Cologne, Dusseldorf area. So that's I love. But I always look back as a fun time from about 6 years old to 14.
Yeah,
around there. That was like my main childhood was there. And then I think after that it was a bit of a bubble living there. So it's like you're a bit protected almost from the real world, because you're in this like base. You've got all your little friends in your little cinema, and there's like this little like mini world inside of Germany. And so when I came out of that back to the UK, kind of unexpectedly, because my parents divorced, so it was all up in the air, obviously shock. And then I moved back to the UK with my mum, back into like real life, and it was a huge culture shock for me. I just had to change school, so I started in year 10, so like first year of GCSEs. And I remember it was eye-opening to be thrown into the deep end of like, a British school. Felt just like terrifying. I remember going in. Everyone at that point's already got little friendship groups going, and it's one of them schools where you don't normally get new school kids.
Yeah.
So like I turn up and they're like, "Who's this fella?" Like, so it was hard because you do feel a bit like an outsider. So I think it was around that time I started learning guitar.
Right.
So it was, I think then that helped me kind of gain a bit of confidence.
Yeah.
So I started to like make friends with other people that played music in the school, and kind of, slowly like built up my confidence again, because I feel like it had completely gone when I moved back. So.
And where the music side of it, where was there sort of a music background when you were growing up? Was it part of your life?
Yeah, well, I I still lived in Germany. I can't remember what age, probably about 9 or 10. And I went to watch We Were Rock, the Queen musical,
Yeah.
and I absolutely, like, I remember fell in love with it, and I fell in love with all the Queen songs,
Yeah.
and just the production of it, and I just thought, that's amazing. That feeling it gave me, I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
So then I went watched some more musicals, and like obviously like live gigs, and it just inspired me from there. So I was actually in like an amateur theatre group for a good few years when I was a kid in Germany.
Oh.
So I did a lot of productions. I remember the first show, I thought, right, I'm going to audition. And it was like, my mum was egging me on to do it. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do it. I don't do it. So I was literally like 10, turned up to the audition, and there's loads of kids. It's like, it might have been not as many as I remember, because everything's a bit more overwhelming when you're a kid. But I remember thinking, God, there's hundreds of kids here. And anyway, it was for Christmas Carol, Scrooge. That was the show, and I got the part as Tiny Tim. I got like the main child part, and I remember I did absolutely like in shock, because I'd never done anything like that before.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was I think integral to giving me that confidence then to go on. So obviously that's why I always thank like my mum and my dad for just pushing me to do it, because I would never, I think, off my own back, have had the confidence to just go and do that. So.
Do you feel like it was something that was like alien to you, almost inside yourself at that point?
Yeah, definitely. It takes obviously quite a lot to push me to do something, especially back when I was young. I was so shy. Everyone used to say how shy I was. I was the most insular kid. Anyone talked to me, I'd just be. Everyone thought I was just really rude, I think, when I was a kid, because I'd just be, you don't want to talk to one. So, and it just, I think around that age, it just pushed me to, because I loved it so much, the performance, and I thought, I want to do that. And you have to be outgoing. Obviously not all the time, but you have to be more an extrovert. And I think it brought that side out of me.
Yeah.
And so obviously it's helped me to this day.
It's really. Let's go back to that when you just said that bit, then, that rude bit.
Yeah.
So is that something that you've? I think first of all, I think honestly, so many people can relate to that. The fact of having to be inside yourself sometimes and disconnected from, but then people to judge you as being rude, right?
Yeah, that's hard, because I get, still now, get really anxious, and you almost have to feel like you're having panic attacks sometimes with certain social situations where you just don't want to be there, you don't want to do it, and it's so easy for people to judge and go, "Oh, they didn't turn up, they're flaky," or they were quiet, weren't they? And but then obviously it makes you're thinking over your head. That's what they're thinking about you, and then it's a downward spiral. So I think it's something I've always tried to bear in mind, because I know how it feels. If other people are just don't want to, as just today, they didn't want to turn up and do something that you'd arranged, I just go, you know what, I get it. It's fine. Don't worry. So I think it's important to know that it is fine if you're not.
I love that one. I think that it really helps when you've lived that experience and you understand it. Because what you just said then, you said about, it's like the judgment, isn't it? I'm exactly the same. If somebody, somebody will get in touch and say, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I haven't got back to you." It's like, it's all right, because sometimes I don't do this, and I let people down and things like this, because I just I don't know, go inwards, or have to like survive, or whatever it is, and sometimes you just can't cope with it. But it's like that. People have expectations of each other a lot, don't they? So you sort of, how old were you when you started being aware of this, what you were just talking about fighting with this part of you that, you know, so you're saying about being you were quiet sometimes, and you still are. Well, obviously, we have to do that, right? Some of us, and you realize, you know, what sort of age, or do you start becoming aware of this? Is this like more an adult thing, or
I'd say generally, yeah, more conscious of it, I guess, is
yeah,
when you're an
yeah,
adult and you kind of, yeah, you realise that there's a difference. You know, when you're a kid, I feel like you just exist and
yeah,
you
yeah,
do what you want to do when you
yeah,
want to do it. When you don't,
yeah,
usually you don't, and that's it. But um, yeah, I think especially as I've got older now with all my gigs and stuff, I'm a lot more aware of the. I feel like I've got that almost like a social battery sometimes.
yeah.
So I'll go to a gig and like, I mean, it's amazing. Like last night, obviously, you go to a gig and everyone wants to talk to you, and I'm just like, it's like, it's great because
Of course it
it
is. Yeah,
feels great because
yeah,
people are telling me stories
yeah,
about
yeah.
like different gigs and like how like there's a couple I met years ago last night, and it was like their first date was at one of my gigs. They're now married, and they came
Wow.
to the gig last night,
Yeah,
and they said like they were getting emotional at the end. And I was like, "Are you getting me emotional?"
yeah, yeah,
Like, so there's things like that which are like that's amazing. But
yeah,
then I've also then got to like have a bit of time on my own to just recharge and like recharge that social battery and like right, have a little bit of a
yeah,
breather. And so
yeah,
you just go out, take yourself outside or whatever it is, and you're just like right, let's just
yeah.
have a bit of time back to
But
myself to
as you're saying this, I can see, right? I can see that you're also thinking to yourself, I don't want to upset anybody by them thinking that, you know,
exactly
because that's going through
because
your
I'm
head,
not
isn't
being
it? It's like because it's that expectation thing again, isn't it?
yeah
But I think that normally people would understand totally, mate, that you do have to, because you're one of those people in life you want to give, don't you? You want to whatever it is. Like whenever you've helped me out with a few things. You know, when you came to the festival over in that we did last year in Widnes, which you were
yeah
amazing. You
yeah
saved the
that's good.
night. You know, it was brilliant, brilliant set. And then you rescued me because I was literally abandoned, wasn't I? No way to get home in the Widnes barnyards. And you're one of those people, and everybody who I you know who I know that knows you, you know, they're the same. Like, oh, he's a good guy, you know. So and that's one of the best things you can have in life, I think. So yeah, you need a social battery recharge, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
um,
that's I think it's important because I think sometimes people maybe just think that they've always got to be in the like top form and be
yeah,
but people will ask that question, are you an extrovert or an introvert? But most people aren't one or the other. It's always a mixture, and it depends on the day, how you're feeling,
yeah,
like the situation where you are, who you're with, and it's you've just got to just acknowledge it sometimes. Be like, right, now I just need a little bit of
yeah,
me time because obviously, especially when you're a performer, like you've got to be the biggest extrovert because you're like the center of attention. And
yeah,
after like, if you're playing on stage for like 2 hours, sometimes you just need like 5 minutes just to be like, right, no one's looking at me now.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
back to just me, and then you're ready to go out again, and
yeah.
but it's
So what's
important
your
to have
way?
that.
What's your sort of what do you have like a go-to that you go to try and recharge your batteries to get yourself away from everything that's drowning you? You know?
I don't have one specific way. It just depends on obviously if I'm at a gig, like I literally will just either just go outside, find a little quiet spot, just
Yeah,
there for 5 minutes. I did
yeah,
it yesterday even before the gig, because obviously I was setting up, speaking to people, and then just went outside. There's a little quiet spot. I thought before I go on, just to like compose myself, and then you're ready to go. But it depends as well. Sometimes like I enjoy driving to and from a gig because it's
yeah,
usually just me on my own.
yeah,
So it's that time of your own thoughts, and that it can be good to just have that time to recharge. So yeah,
yeah,
that's I say that's probably my way. Usually just driving, little
yeah,
podcast on.
yeah, yeah. Have
You
you got
know,
any favourite podcasts you like listening to? Or
depends how I'm feeling. Obviously, if I'm feeling something light-hearted,
yeah,
there's the Happy Hour podcast.
right, okay, I think I've heard of that one.
Which is just like it's one of those ones where it's like you just sat listening to your mates
Right,
chatting
yeah,
absolute
yeah,
nonsense
yeah.
basically, but it's great. I love it. Or just something more serious. I love it. I enjoy my sports ones, like high performance podcast, or
Yeah,
obviously Darius CEO's like the big one. Now and then I'll listen to, but depends
what mood
if
you're
you want to feel inspired or you just want to have a laugh, or that's what I love. It's
I like that.
Just the different kinds of discussions.
Okay. If you're just joining us this morning, welcome to Getting on Track. This is Charlie Reader, musician, top guy, songwriter
On the CV.
singer. Yeah, you should put that. Do you know what? Actually, it's funny though, that right? That there's a real life lesson in there, like a life point. I think that too many people value too many other people based on what their supposed title or job title is, right?
Yeah.
But how much more important can you get than being a top guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A nice man, a good guy. You know, what's more important, isn't it?
Yeah.
So and this morning, so we did have some technical difficulties, and it was nothing to do with Charlie at all. And basically, I was going to usually I do the comments on my tablet, and I don't even know if anybody can see me right now because like half the screen's cut off. Well, not half, like a little bit of it. Maybe just see my arm here. I don't know. But we've got, like I said, we've got a quality version being recorded right now, and that's going out later onto our YouTube channel and shared onto the page. But yeah, so comments, if you are leaving any comments, really appreciate them. They will still be there, and I'll get to them later on the page. But I can't look at them right now. The tablet decided to log itself out of Facebook just as we were about to start. So yeah, brilliant. These things are sent to try us, right? Guinness. Yeah, I just wanted to. Yeah, I've just looked down at this before we carry on the track.
All right.
You mentioned it this morning, and I really wanted to talk to you about that. So yeah, so what happened with all that? Because it's quite interesting, really.
Well, it's something I enjoy doing my music and stuff. I've always loved that, but I've also loved the idea. You know, if you watched when I was growing up, I'm watching all different kind of YouTubers and people who just make videos for fun and just look like they're having a great time. And so I had that idea a couple of years ago now, was to, I love my Guinness. Sean, he loves his Guinness. Yeah. He got me drinking it when we went to Ireland. He's like, try that. And I'm like, not bad that.
You were sold.
Yeah, I'm a couple more and I'm like, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
So literally, obviously Sean used to come to every single one of my gigs. He's brilliant. He'd come to everyone. He'd help me out, load all the gear in. And so we always have our Guinness. And
did you say he's freaking brilliant?
He's freaking brilliant.
Yeah,
So he basically started drinking our Guinness, and I thought, why don't we do a channel where we go just basically review it, have a laugh, because there's a massive audience. Guinness drinkers are the most dedicated, fan base of alcohol you'll ever
Is it like a club?
It's almost like a cult at this point. And I found that out, which is great, because obviously you get people who don't know about Guinness. And also when we posted our videos on TikTok of us going, look at this pint, it's a lovely pint, whatever. And people are just going, just drink it. All these people, and it's like, well, yeah, we are just drinking it, but it would be a very interesting channel if we just sat and drank it, would it? But then you get all the proper Guinness drinkers who jump on and defend it. And anyway, it's great fun, and we have a good laugh doing it. And obviously we're lucky. We did some videos with my brother. He's brilliant. He's got a great camera, and he's a brilliant videographer, photographer. Yeah. So it was a good trio, good team. And then so we did some videos, and it blew up on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Yeah. So which I wasn't expecting. It was just doing it for a laugh, and then all of a sudden it blew up. So we.
Well, I saw a couple of the little trailer or things that you did. I think I remember at the time, and they look really good. I can totally see why it blew up, because everything about it looked good. It looked polished as well, and
we kind of went for that TV show style, kind of Top Gear-esque kind of show, which was me and Sean the presenters, and Tom would come around the camera, and there was like a theme tune on it, and it was great fun to do.
It was called the
Guinnessers. So obviously, it took off, and we had a good time, and I learned a lot from it as well in terms of social media. It was great for that, helping out with knowing what works on TikTok, how to create short form content.
Yeah.
So I was never really used to that with my music. I used to think it's got to be a full production music video for it to do well. I wouldn't even really recommend making a music video now unless you've got a great idea and you want to do it. But
well, talking about great music videos, you did a really good one with the multiple versions of you sat in the car. That was really good.
oh, cheers. Yeah, well, that was like, now I'm thinking of more short form content ideas.
Yeah.
So it's literally like 90 seconds long.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take that long to film.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know where I got the idea for that. I think I wanted to do the song, and then I thought, well, I want to hear some banjo in that as well. I said, well, I'll just film myself doing that. But then I thought, why don't I try and make it all look like it's in one shot?
Yeah.
So it just allowed me in the back with the cajon and the tambourine.
Yeah, it was really
and
good.
it worked well.
Really effective as well.
It took a while to work out how to edit that all together to
Yeah.
make it. The amount of people that didn't know that was just one person, they're like, "You guys are great." So, I was like, "Oh, next one, I'll just make a clone army. I'll have a full army."
Say they thought they were all really closely related.
Yeah.
But it's funny when you say about social media side of it, because I saw something, a clip yesterday, I think it was on social media, and with some guy from a band, and I think they had like a decent following on TikTok, and it was on a loudspeaker call with a label, and the label, they'd been looking at them for, I think, a couple of months. They'd been along to their shows and stuff like this, expressed interest in, them signing the band. And then the phone call was basically them saying, sorry, but we only take bands on artists who have 50,000 followers on Instagram or TikTok, right? And the basic gist of a lot of the people supporting the band were saying, well, in a minute, what are they going to do then? Because to get to that point of 50K, you've put a lot of work in. And do you need a label at that point?
Exactly. That is the debate I keep seeing all the time at the moment, is that the labels are constantly just like, well, how's your TikTok doing? And it's that now it's changed. The power used to be in the hands of the label. Now it's in the power of social media.
Yeah.
If you've got a big following, really, like, you can do everything yourself.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of DIY artists that are doing like brilliantly.
Yeah.
But labels now, it's more in terms of just the management around that and being able to promote and organize like your events and your releases, market it in the right places, put it, where you can't put it yourself other than just social media. So now it's more, it's more level with the artist having more of the power, which is great for the artist. So I think labels are beginning to realize that. So I think now it's, it's being savvy and knowing not to just sign any old contract that Sony comes up to you and goes, we want to sign you, because chances are the deal ain't going to be that good.
Well, have you? There's a guy who comes to mind as we're sat here talking. He was a guest on the show here. His name is Dave Piccioligi, right? And he's the CEO for Modern Sky, and they have the Lathams or the Lathams. I don't know if it's and like they're a decent sized label as far as I know, and he does a lot of work with TikTok as well. I will. So I don't know. If are you interested in working with labels, that sort of thing? If it's the right one, or
that's it. I think if it's the right, if it's the right situation and they want to put into it what they can without interfering. Because you hear so many horror stories now about artists that sign over stuff, and then they sign for 3 albums, and they obviously all that money. You think, oh great, I've got like 500K or whatever it is to fund it. But you have to put those albums out. But if the label just sticks you on the shelf, you're stuck in that contract. You can't get out of it. So you've only had that one album out.
Yeah, of course.
You're basically you can't. Your hands are tied. You can't do it. So.
Well, I do know that this Dave, I just mentioned it, he's a nice guy.
Well, that is good.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
So what I'll do, that video that I just mentioned then, I'm going to get that on your page, and I'm going to send him an email. I'm going to say, check out this guy, a friend of mine. He's a top talent and a top guy. Send him the link.
No, cheers,
and then if he gets in touch with you, and then you go from there.
No, thank you.
So you went. So going back to school then, right? I just wanted to know about, obviously when you came over here, it was a big change. loneliness. Did you go through a time? You remember a time when you were feeling lonely more than other times in your life?
Yeah, I've had it a few times, especially when I moved back to the UK. So I was probably about 14, 15.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the whole situation around it, going from Germany to the UK, obviously you got to make new friends. All of a sudden, you've got to be that kind of outgoing person to be like, "Hi, I'm Charlie," and at that age, it's all a bit awkward, isn't it? Everyone's just kids, and so it was tough. And I remember, I was mixed emotions with my family because obviously I didn't understand at the time. I was like, why my parents? Why didn't they still not together? I thought they were happy, and I'm like, so I remember the amount of times I just I'd had a little journal and I wrote my thoughts out, and I think that helped at that age to do that because I think sometimes you keep your emotions in. So and obviously as time goes on, I felt like I found I suppose the courage to go out and talk to people because I knew it wasn't going to happen if I just sat in my room and drew the curtains and felt sorry for myself. And I did that for a long time, but it just takes like a couple of people to kind of bring you out of that shell. And as time went on, I managed to get out of it, and music was a massive help for that as well. Because it's such an easy catalyst for a conversation. Like, so if I was playing guitar, I was like, oh, you play, and all of a sudden you're talking to someone. Next minute, you're best mates with them, and you're playing gigs with them, and and that's the best thing. It's just having something to spark that conversation and that the imagination of the people. And
Definitely. And it's like it can set a fire inside as well, can't it? Sometimes you just hear the right tune, even just the right note sometimes, isn't it? And then it's just something that connects with something sort of deep. So, and what I also wondered about was about not just the loneliness aspect of it, but even when you were growing up through in Germany and everything, have you ever felt in your life sort of not quite the same as other people in some way? Sort of like, um, it, a lot of people describe it in different ways, but a lot of people who are empathetic, a lot of people who are nice people, sort of often describe it as feeling like even though I connected and everything, I was always feeling a little bit, or often feeling a little bit.
No, I definitely felt like that. Germany was fine because I was just a kid and I was probably too young to even be that self-aware, really. But especially when I moved back to the UK, I felt like you say, alienated because it's, I'm the foreigner almost. I'm the German, even though I wasn't. But all of a sudden, I was, back into this southern town in England, and everyone's like, "Who's this guy?" And I felt you do feel, just alienated from the in jokes and just the way things are. And I'm just like, it's that even just the little sayings people have and that, and it was like it just felt so different, and so it was.
And what sort of year was this? Like?
So this will have been 2010, 2011. So about 14, 15 years old. But what was, I think, like I say, with the music, once I got into my music and people started to actually talk to me and I'd go up and be a bit more outgoing and slowly build up that confidence. By the end of year 11, so that would have been 2 school years in this school. By the end, I remember I was sat with one of my mates and he went, I forget that you were even new. I feel like you've been here since like year 7. And I was like, I do as well, actually. And it's a really nice realizing moment. And I was like, Jesus, like, it's been like, it takes a while, but once you just get into that culture and that friendship, and it's great. I felt like at home by the end of it, and that's what I loved. So no, it was probably one of the toughest parts, but probably one of the most integral parts of my life. Those 2 years, because then I moved obviously back up to the north after that. So, but those 2 years were, I say integral for like the rest of me life, I guess.
It stood you in good stead, I suppose.
Definitely.
So that was before you moved to Frodsham.
Well, I moved up to Buckley Wales.
Oh, wow, okay,
So that's where my mum, she had family there, so we moved up here. And then obviously Frodsham was a couple of years later. So I just kept doing my music. I made a band with my college mates, and that we started doing open mics, and that's when I started to take it a bit more seriously. And we were doing more paid gigs, and it was great. I was about 18 years old, and we were starting to learn the ways of the industry. Still a bit naive, but it was it was a good time. We learnt a lot, and I think then it set me a good stead for when I went on solo, just to carry on and keep gigging and working full time now, just singing.
How what musical wise, have you got any sort of, when you've been going through your process as you've been growing up, especially as you started to play and then started to do it in early for gigs, have you got sort of your main inspirations musically?
I've got, literally dozens. There's always one which I will remember. It's when I went to Glastonbury. Again, it must have been 16, 17, something like that. No, it must have been 17. And then I went and watched a band called Hudson Taylor in just one of the tents. So not a big stage. One of the tents, went in, and they were like a folky acoustic duo, and I was mesmerised. And it was that moment I was like, right, I want to do that. I want to do that. And that's when I went and started that band in college, and that we did a similar kind of thing, like a trio, doing acoustic stuff, harmonies. And that was so inspirational. And Hudson Taylor, and they started their own podcast called How to Break an Artist. It's Alfie, and that's another podcast I listen to all the time, and it's great for like music, and they talk about obviously the positives and negatives of the industry. So it's amazing now because Alfie, I sent a voice message saying how much it's inspired me, and he replied and he featured me on the podcast, and he follows me and he's liking my stuff, and I'm like, Alfie Hudson Taylor, like the guy who was integral, is now liking my stuff. I'm like, still start every time I see him, I'm like, oh, he's liked it. So that he's been, I'd say, well, obviously him and Harry, his brother, really inspirational. Mumford and Sons. Again, massive inspiration from a similar age. Again, saw them live countless times.
It's funny that you say that. So yesterday I came across something that was on about one of them left or was kicked out or something. What was it?
Yeah, it was a few years ago, maybe during COVID.
Was it one of their main guys?
He's what's his name now? Blimey, the banjo player. He's gone. He's left the band. He's gone out of my memory. Winston, that was it. Winston. But I'm not too sure what happened there, to be honest. But but there's a vacancy.
What now?
Well, there's only 3 of them. So.
So they didn't replace.
No. So Marcus, if you're watching,
would you fancy? Is it banjo? Because you play banjo as well.
I'll play a bit of banjo. I'll learn some more banjo songs.
I'll do it especially for you. I love that when you're talking about the podcast, and then it's funny that maybe that guy will be looking at you in exactly the same way. The guy you were saying where he's following you and you're feeling humbled by that. Maybe when you're cracking the States, which we're going to talk about in a minute, maybe he'll be the same way, right? So your musical journey, as they say, has been really interesting, right? And I wanted to ask you about some of your best gigs, some of your worst gigs.
There's been a fair few.
So I don't mind which one you want to go with first.
Let's start with the best, Joey. I feel like that's fresh on my mind. Well, obviously, last night was that was amazing.
Okay, so this is the best bar in Frodsham, right? Easy.
It's
Cash 22.
Yeah, it's obviously a great live music venue. Has been for years since Paddy took it over. It's been 10 years, I think, as well, since he took it over.
Wow.
So it was my band he put on. He'd never even heard us before.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure why. He was just like, yeah, you can play, but I was absolutely, fair dues to him. And so he played there for years, and obviously I played there solo. He put me on my first ever solo gig I'd ever done, because I'd only ever played with a band or just done like little family parties on my own. I'd never.
Sure.
So to do a full on gig, I remember I was bricking it. But Paddy, to be fair, for whatever reason, he believed that I could do the gig, and from there, obviously, 10 years later, last night was my very last gig there before I go off to the States. So it was emotional. There's so many like faces that I'd seen over all the years, and they all came back to watch. So it was it was a great gig. So I didn't expect that many people to turn up. So when I was there, I was like, "This is busy." So it's the first time I'd had a full on set list, all planned out, and like fresh strings on. I was like, I made sure everything was like polished. So, but it was great. Obviously, so much fun. So that was like, one of my favorite gigs I'll never forget. Which is great because I've had a few.
Of course, but it's the emotional part of it, isn't it, that you've got from.
That's it. I think that's the most important thing. I think is you don't always remember necessarily the details of what happened in any situation, but you remember how you felt, and that's what I always try and leave with people on a show. They might not remember what songs I played, but they'll remember how I made them feel.
Exactly.
And if they go, I was buzzing, you're like, great, that's what you remember. So, and vice versa, a gig. That's it. If I'm feeling great and I'm loving it, then there's no better feeling in the world.
Because you're feeding off the energy from them.
Exactly,
which you're giving to them with your music.
Yeah, it's a two-way thing.
Symbiotic, isn't it?
Exactly, but I think that's the thing with going to like some of the worst gigs is it's when either there's no one there, obviously, which is never good. You're playing to like two people, and they're not even interested, and it's like you're there and you're playing to yourself, and there's none of that chemistry is going on. You've got to just muster the
soul destroying.
The energy to keep playing when no one cares. And I mean, I've done loads of them, but
can you think? Have you got one that sort of sticks in your head as being one of your worst gigs?
Well, I've got two types. I've got, like I say, I'll say there's one when I played in Liverpool, and they put me on this rooftop bar. I won't name it, but it was, I don't know if it's still there, but they were like, "Oh yeah, come and play." I think it was a bank holiday, so I thought, I'll be busy. Got there was no one in there, no one, just one barman behind the bar, and I'm like, so I just set up, still no one, waiting for. I thought I won't start because there's no one here. I was like, put it out, and there's just no one. And eventually, a couple of my mates turned up, and you're like, I almost felt like work. I felt bad for them. I was like, oh no. So it was in the end, a couple people turned up, but yeah, it was one of them soul destroying ones. But I've done a lot of them. But another type of awful gig is there's one in Liverpool I'll never forget. It was on, I won't name the bar again, but it was on Matthew Street, which is obviously thriving, music everywhere you go. And I played in the Cavern before, which I loved, because you get a lot of the tourists in, and I played the lounge room at the back. If you've been in there, rather than the obviously the original, the classic room is a more of a wide lounge, and everyone's sat down and they're all listening, and it's great. This other bar, I kind of thought, must be kind of like that. They just messaged me and said, "Oh, can you play?" Never been, didn't know what it was like. I was like, yeah. Turned up all my gear. Obviously, I've got my drum, guitar, the full shebang. Get in, and it's it's packed, and I'm like, well, where am I? And so I try and push through with me drum, get through all these people through the front door.
Because you have a bass drum, don't you?
22-inch drum, So I was trying to get through, and then I'm like, "Where's the stage?" And they're like, "Oh, it's there." I'm like, "Where?" The stage is literally that big. I'm like, "Well, my drum ain't fitting on there, is it?" So, but I'm already in with my stuff, so I had to take it down to the basement. So I have to go down, behind the bar, so the staff are like, "What's he doing? Getting in the way of his drum." Carrying all my stuff down, going to the cellar. And there's a guy he's on playing, and he's on the stage singing. and they're like, right, you're on next. I'm like, I'm like, okay. He's like, right, as soon as he finishes, get on. And I'm like, ugh. So I was like, well, I can't use my drums. So I literally just took my mic, because I presume he took it on my guitar and a cable, my jack lead. And I was like, got on the stage. I was like, plugged in, like, obviously none of my normal setup. And I was like, where's the desk? And they're like, oh, it's just round the corner. So I go around the corner.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah, I'm like, the cable just about reached the desk. You can't even like do your levels while you're on the stage.
Oh,
So
and there's no one doing it for you.
no, and they're just like, but they're like, come on, get going. And I'm like, I've never played it before.
Yeah.
So anyway, I get playing 2 hours solid, no break, which can be fine if the gig's good. But I'm playing, and obviously I'm doing my normal set. I didn't know what they wanted, but I was just trying to do some Beatles if I knew it, or just whatever. And then about 20 minutes in, one of the staff members, presumably the manager, came past with a note and said, "More lively, please." And I remember at this point, so I just stop and just go, "Is that not lively enough?" Like, I think it was Pompeii, Bastille. Like,
That's a big song.
Yeah, it's like
favorite.
And I was just like, so anyway, I did the rest of the gig, but it's like, it's soul destroying because
because you had everything going against you, didn't you? And
yeah.
Do you feel as well that a big part of that is when it's not being diva-ish to expect the place that you're playing at for the people to show you respect.
No, and that's it. Like, I'm always, whenever I turn up, I always make sure I'm just just nice and pleasant, and I'll ask people how they are and all the normal stuff. But it's when they just treat you like a performing monkey.
Yeah.
And they and at the end of the gig, they went, because it wasn't what we were after, we're only going to give you half the fee. And I'm just like, I'm like, that's not on. Like, come on, no one's giving me any briefing. So in the end, they paid me the full fee. And I was like, I'm not going back like that. I'm not. But I can understand why it's like that, because it's central Liverpool. They just want loud music just constantly from a singer, and it's like, right, next one on, plug your guitar in, go, next one, go, and it's obviously they make money, it's efficient. So I understand it now. But that was me. I was a bit younger. I'd never played in one of those kind of bars before, where it's less about the nuance and the music. It's more just get on, sing, get off. So I think it was a proper wake up call for me, that to realise that they're not all as nicey, and you get more people coming up to you just asking for all sorts of requests, which is part of the job, isn't it? But that's why I much preferred it. Like, playing last night in Cash, I just did like a lot of my own songs, and I just enjoyed everything. And they're the kind of gigs, and the moment when you go, this is why I'm doing it. And you can forget. And so many times I've forgotten why I'm doing it, because I'm doing too many of those other kinds of gigs where it's just performing monkey kind of. And that's when I feel like you lose your purpose as why you even did it in the first place. It feels like a job.
You've earned it.
So that's it. But you win some, you lose some. But it's just being savvy and knowing which gigs to take now. And I think now I've got to the point where I'm like, no, I'll do that because I know it's going to be nice. Even if it's a pub beer garden. I did one the other day, Saturday, in the sun. Beautiful. I'm happy with that. I'll take that.
There's worse jobs.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the people where everybody who sings or plays, DJs, anything, you always tend to get somebody on a night where they don't have any part of the night at all until the very end, and then you finished. And then, oh, come on, one more.
Yeah.
It's only one more. Come on, just give us one more.
Yes. You're like, where have you been all night?
Yeah. Funniest moments or funniest gigs that you can think of.
I've had some mad ones. I had one in Ireland, and it was not long after COVID. It kind of, when they had, you could sit in your tables and your bubbles and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was basically, it got a bit out of hand. And I was outside. It was like in Dunmore East, Waterford. So south coast of Ireland. I love playing in Ireland. Everyone there is just always so up for it. So I was stood on basically like an outside, almost like beer garden area that looks out into the sea. It's a beautiful spot in Dunmore East. It's amazing. So I started my set, and all of a sudden it just filled up, more and more people, because I think everyone had missed live music there. Like you could tell they've not had it in like a few years, and you could tell everyone was like a drug, and it was obviously a lot of like, you know, kind of like people like my age, you know, like that came out, because usually that there in Dummer East you get a lot of like kind of like the, you know, the older people come out, but it felt like it was just everyone came from the town into this like garden, and it was, you know, it's quite a big space, and I remember thinking like, bloody hell, and they were all getting on the tables, and the owner was flapping, thinking, like, we can't be having this, like, you know, technically there's still going to be some rules and regulations here with like, you know, but I mean, it was that time when it was fine, like it had come out of it, but I think Ireland was a bit behind on the, anyway. It was just a mad gig. Everyone was on the tables, and I did the show, and then it finished, and then once it all cleared, all the tables were battered. They were all broken and just destroyed. I looked at the owner. I was like, "I'm so sorry." He said, "Mate, it's fine." Like, that was good. I was like, oh, I got a video of it as well. I'll try and find it. It's just all the benches, just all wooden benches, just crushed and stampled on.
You still got that?
Yeah, I'll try.
Because you could have that as after a Charlie Reader gig. It was bouncing that much. But that guy they must have been well happy enough, because they made it loads off the bar, right?
Well, that's it. Yeah, like it probably hadn't been that busy in years with the COVID and stuff. So like it was a good like first gig back. I remember being like, right. Live music is back, and that was class. So
and you got the place bouncing. Have you got anything like funny wise that's happened to you that you think of at gigs, or happened to anyone in front of you, stuff like that? It's hard when you're on the spot to think, isn't it?
I don't know. In terms of, I mean, I've done. What it is, I do so many, it all blurs into one.
I know.
I know I've had a few. Whether you could call it funny, I don't know. It's, you know, I've had a few dodgy people dancing, you know, some like random bloke on his own just doing like a shimmy and like a moonwalk and stuff. Like,
loving it.
I'm like, he's having a good time, you know? And it makes, you know, it keeps me entertained. What did I have the other day? He's some fella. He must have been, I don't know what he was on, but he was off his head, and he was doing like some proper like over the top. You know, like Michael Jackson, full on, giving it all that, and I couldn't watch him because I was just cracking up every time, and I couldn't sing. I was laughing that much, so I just keep my eyes shut, and every time I'd look, he'd just be like giving it full on his own, and I was like looking away at other people, and then they were laughing at him. Like, I'm just setting me off, so I just shut my eyes and carried on playing.
It's like almost like it's a good energy, though, isn't it? You know, when someone's like loving it, and you're getting that, because some people take that the wrong way, don't they? I saw something, a little video clip recently, and this guy was going on the dance floor on his own, right? And it was Born to Be Wild, this band were playing, and he was doing like knee spins on the floor and all this sort of thing. And the girl singer, she was like, she wasn't singing at the time, and she couldn't stop laughing. And she was getting a lot of stick for this because she was laughing, right? But other people were getting it that she's laughing like it's like a good energy.
Yeah, it's just like
she's not like going, look at you.
No, it's
like a laughing like in a, you know, laughter's good.
But everyone is like, he knew that. Everyone's just like having a great time. So it's just like one of those moments of just So things like that you won't forget, because it's just everyone in the whole room was just enamored. He's in his element, and great. Definitely
love those moments. So where are you? What's going on now then? So you had your last gig potentially at Cash, you know, and so what's your plan now then?
Well, I've still got a couple of weeks. Got some private dues and stuff, some weddings and things to do, and then I'm off on the 5th of June. Go off to flying into New York, and then traveling down the East Coast first for the first couple of months, and then gonna head across when we get to Nashville, maybe Dallas. Just keep hitting the road. Really, I think it's been a dream I've wanted to do for years. Obviously, circumstances and gigs and stuff. But I think I'm kind of going back a bit. The whole reason I think I've finally found the courage to do it, because I'm going on my own. Like, it's a solo venture. It was I had a bit of a tough start to the year, and And I think it was Paddy and Cash. I remember I was doing a gig in there, and he could tell I wasn't myself. And he came up to me and was like, "Mate, what's up? You know, we need some. You're not yourself. I can tell you that spark ain't there, man." So and I had a great chat with him. And I remember having a great chat with yourself as well.
I remember you told me about having the chat with Paddy.
Yeah, and it literally it helps so much straight away, because it's that realization of I'm not trapped. You're only restrained by your own walls that you set up yourself.
Yeah,
and I felt like I was trapped in this box of just, obviously, I enjoy doing my gigs. That I'd much rather be doing that than all the other jobs which I've done throughout my life. And I'm grateful for it. But at the same time, for doing it for 10 years, I've been through like various relationships, and it's like, well, what's next? Am I still just doing this? Is this still just? And I think that's when I locked myself away earlier this year, and just kind of like, you close down, you shut off to other people, and like, I was getting like messages and gig inquiries, and I was just like, I just didn't want to. I felt, at the time, you hate yourself even more for not replying or not, but it's
it's like a survival mode almost, isn't it?
You do. You've got to, it's like shut down, to like just like like energy saving mode, and you just shut off. But it was, like I say, when I spoke to Paddy, it was a huge almost a wake up of but he didn't say anything which I didn't know, if that makes sense. But I just didn't.
Often that's what it is. Isn't it?
It's just like, but it's giving you that moment just to be like, no, you can do it. So I said, oh, I don't know what to do, blah blah blah, and he said, well, just cancel some gigs you've got, and just go traveling, go away. Like, why not? You've got the opportunity. You've got no major ties or responsibilities. You can go where you want. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Like, and it's never really accepted that could be a thing, And so it just took someone to just go, there you go, do that. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So literally that was it then. Like, it was completely kind of change of mindset. And then booked my flight, and obviously cancelled some gigs, which at the time I did feel a bit like bad for. There's a couple of weddings and stuff. I'm like, but it was obviously, this was a few months ago I did it, so obviously give them enough notice. But it feels good. It feels like I'm looking forward to trying to
excited.
Just get away and meet some new people. Obviously do some gigs while I'm over there, and just see what happens.
Have you been in touch with anywhere over there yet, or are you not doing any plans at all?
I've got a few contacts in various places, and obviously Nashville. I've got a couple as well. I'm looking forward to, hopefully finding a couple of gigs there. So, but yeah, it's mainly it's exciting because I've not made a strict, regimented plan of what it is I'm going to do. It's more just, let's just go and
I love it.
Have some fun and experience stuff. Like on my own, I have the freedom to do what I want and go where I want when I want, and that's something I've always dreamt of doing. It's just hitting the road, meeting people, and you've got to be more outgoing when you're on your own. You can't just stay in your little friendship group or whatever. And you've got to talk to people, and so I'm looking forward to that as well. Just going out of my comfort zone. And I'm excited now.
And then on the other side of it as well, with being on your own, you haven't got anybody to meet their expectations, have you? So when you do need that time to yourself, you can just do it. You haven't got anyone thinking you're rude. Or...
That's it. So we best of both worlds, really. I want to do a bit of like kind of signing out, if that's for a bit, where it's like, so I've been doing this for like 10 years straight. So when I have a bit of time, it's like, well, let's put the phone away. Let's just experience some life, and then I'll start to document my trip. So obviously on like the socials, Instagram and stuff,
and people can follow this, can't they?
So I'll try and do some vlogs and things if I'm ever doing anything interesting, or so hopefully, who knows what's going to happen. That's the exciting thing. I just have I've got my rucksack, guitar.
It's going to be great.
See where we go.
It's going to be great. I've got to say thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate you coming in. It's been wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you're watching live right now, then there will be a better version coming on the page later. a better recorded version, it'll be better quality, be able to a better full view, even though you've got the best view already, and good audio and everything. This is Getting on Track. I'm Nathan. This is the amazing Charlie Reader. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure, not just to have you on here. Thank you so much for coming along on the Monday morning, straight after you've just had, your smashing special gig last night.
No, thanks for having me, mate, honestly.
I haven't known you very long, but for the time I have known you, you are a really humble fella, as well as being the top guy, and you definitely deserve all the good things that are going to come your way, man. 100%.
Thank you,
And
man.
I wish you all the best. All the best, absolutely.
Thank you.
So if you've been watching us, if there's anything you want to talk about on the video at all, please comment away. Anything you want to get in touch about, please comment away. If you want to follow Charlie, we'll put the link to Charlie Reader's socials on the video as well, because you've got Instagram and stuff like that, haven't you? So yeah, we'll put that on there. We'll put a link to Cash as well, because we've mentioned that a few times, haven't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're okay. Take care of yourself and each other. And thank you again, mate. You take care.